welcome everybody to Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. Man, I have been looking forward to this podcast for a while now. It was supposed to happen a while back, and due to my lack of scheduling skills, it got messed up. But we're here today, so I want everybody to learn a little bit more about Scotti Fraser, Marine veteran, 10 years in the military, and now he is out rocking the stages for all the veterans. Let's bring on Scotti Fraser. What's up, man?
Hey, good to be here, man. Good to be here.
I'm excited, man. I jam to some of your music all the time, and I ain't just saying that. Yeah, man. So give everybody a quick background of a little bit about who is Scotti Fraser.
Who is Scotti Fraser? I am a singer, songwriter, and band leader out of Texas, more specifically Houston, Texas, the big city of Houston, right down the road from the Gulf Coast beach. And I'm originally from the West Coast. I grew up in rock and roll. I grew up with a guitar in my hand and a dream in my heart to serve my country. And I'm extremely blessed to say that mission accomplished on both of my dreams. I grew up playing the same stages that Nirvana played, got to stand on the same stage that Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin played at the Fillmore, and got to play on the Whiskey where Motley Crue started.
Wow.
Always been a very patriotic guy that wanted to follow in the footsteps of my family members. I joined the Marine Corps, and through the hard work and the cold and the wet and the pain and the blood blisters and the hungry and the bullets flying, I decided to stick around for a while because I loved the camaraderie and I loved being with my brothers. And that career over the course of 10 years molded these stories that are now my songs from my recent album and what will be part of a second album coming out in 2024. And so now I like to say that I'm finding my way home and finding hope one song at a time, and try and bring camaraderie and hope and positivity to our veteran community, and try and sing songs, original music that inspires those people to empowerment and hope, and bring that veteran community all together through a good rockin' time, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, brother. I think that is another check the block mission complete, man. Because you are, I follow your Facebook page and all the events that you're at and everything, dude. I can tell you love what you're doing, and that's one thing that makes it authentic. Is like you said, they're your stories. They talk exactly about your events and how a lot of us veterans feel, man.
Right. And, that's an honor. That's the whole goal is, hey there, Shannon. Hey, what's up, Doc? These are stories from my experiences, but these are not just my stories. These are all our stories.
Absolutely.
So I like to think that my music is bigger than just me, myself. And I would be disingenuous if I took complete ownership of even my own songs, because this is your story, Shannon's story, your viewers, and all those men and women that served. These are all our stories, and I just want to be the one. I'm just the microphone, and I want to be able to put those thoughts and those stories into song, so we can have music with it.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: how old were you when you came in the Marines?
I was an old guy. I was 25.
Okay. Well, what drove you? I mean, because so you came out of high school, and what'd you do from there in between there and the military?
So I came out of high school, and I got in kind of one of my first bands, started touring up and down the West Coast. Things moved pretty quick, and we just started gigging and playing gigs. And I ended up in one band, a rock band out of San Francisco called Mr. Hyde. And things got pretty good and big with that band. And, you know, the tide was changing in the 90s from that style of rock to grunge.
Mhm.
And the band kind of moved on from the style we were in and kind of disbanded. And although we had made some critical acclaim, it was time for me to move on to that next step.
Okay.
So I'd kind of reached a little bit of a mountaintop in rock and roll, playing Hollywood, San Francisco, the Northwest. But that dream to be in service, you know, to specifically to be a Marine, was just pumping my heart full of blood. And about 1992, I started my enlistment process with a recruiter on the West Coast, San Francisco area. And right before my birthday, 93, shipped to boot camp. And by God's grace, made it through and graduated a full-fledged Marine. So
That's awesome, man. So did you go straight to the Marine recruiter, or did you look at any of the other branches before you chose, or was that like you knew exactly what you wanted to do?
well, I tell you what, when Desert Storm happened and I was a young guy, I had long hair, may or may not have had an earring in my nose and some other things, and just starting to collect tattoos. I was in San Francisco, and San Francisco, as its reputation is pretty accurate, was not very receptive to, you know, to Desert Storm, to the war, to troops fighting and
Right.
that kind of thing. But man, just seeing footage and news about troops going over there to serve their country, you know, whatever the cost, just was something I wanted to be part of. So I went down to the Marine recruiter,
Okay.
and I remember the windows were all smashed out because the protesters had already, you know, gotten to the recruiting offices. And the Marine recruiter looked really sharp in his uniform and really tough and strong and something to aspire to. And they just were not
Uh-oh.
interested in me. They saw me with the long hair, skinny boots, you know, fresh off of rock and roll, and they weren't interested. They didn't give me much time. So I said, well, I'm going to go next door to the Army. And they weren't super interested either, but they were out of applications because so many people had been flooding the recruiters to join,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with Desert Storm kicking off. So I almost, you know, I mean, it could have been a different trajectory, you know, had the Army had the applications. But I love my Army brothers, and you know, those guys go to hell and back too, and just like you. But the Marine Corps was always something that was special, you
Yeah.
know, that was just something that was for me, you know. So I waited a couple years, got the rock and roll out of my system, and to some extent,
Mhm.
and I later re-enlisted. So a couple years later.
Okay. You know, I think, you know, all of us, if you can get us in an honest state, I think we'd all agree that the Marines uniforms look way better than anybody else's. You know,
I'm very proud to wear that uniform. Yeah.
you should be, because it does. It looks extremely, extremely sharp. And
The Marine Corps dress blue uniform can be credited with being one of the leading causes of pregnancy worldwide.
absolutely. Well, that would explain the virginity rate in the Navy then.
Very good. Touche.
Yep. I think, you know, they make you want to eat some Cracker Jacks when you see them in their uniform.
Yeah.
You know, I love everybody, and that's the one thing I love about the veteran community is between all of us, we will give all of ourselves shit. But
Right.
if you didn't serve, don't be that guy on the outside trying to talk shit.
Right. We'll all talk crap amongst each other, but if we're all at a bar or somewhere in public and we've got, even if we have mixed service branches, you know,
Yep.
you mess with one of our brothers or sisters, you're messing with all of us.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah.
So you join in, and I know you did 10 years. Was you still playing music while you were in, or did you put the guitar down? And
So I went the reserve route.
okay,
I kind of went backwards. I went reserve to active duty.
I did the
Um,
same.
okay, yeah. So I went the reserve route, and I was still playing music. Um, just playing a little bit different style with a little different hairdo, right? Hair's a lot shorter. And I
Yep.
kept playing music and kept working on those things. I actually had a child when I was really young. So, you know, was a dad, went to work and did all those things. And 1 weekend a month was put in the mud and in the bullets with the Marine Corps Reserve. And it was something I was very proud to do. Um, I wanted to be close to my kid and I wanted to keep doing music. So that's why I chose that route, trying to get the best of both worlds. But 9/11 came around,
Yeah.
and that changed that trajectory. And my whole reserve unit was activated and put down into the 1st Marines down at Camp Pendleton, augmented in. So into the 1st Marine Regiment, and that's who I went to war with, was Regimental Combat Team 1, 1st Marines.
Wasn't for some reason that name, I don't know a lot about the units with Marines, but it seems like Shannon was tied with them too. Wasn't he? Was he with the Marines?
Yes, and so Shannon and I were in our first firefight together, though we didn't even know each other then. He was with another one of the battalions of the 1st Marine Regiment, and I was with that reservist battalion that had been activated. And yeah, we were in our Nasiriyah was the first firefight, and we were in that city fighting together, just maybe a couple blocks away. Who knows?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense now, because when he was on the podcast, Every Day is a Saturday podcast, they were talking quite a bit about the Jessica Lynch scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a little bit of experience with that. And so because I heard the recording, I reached out to him and was talking to him about it. But that makes sense now, because y'all were both
Right.
at Korea. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we were both Regimental Combat Team 1. So he was a corpsman with the Marine Corps Infantry, and Marine Corps Infantry guys, we love our corpsmen. I know you Army guys love your medics, but
some of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. And I ask all the artists this. So since you were already playing guitar and everything else, when you deployed, did you take your guitar with you? Were you one of those guys that in some downtime was playing and everybody being around and just hanging out? Or
it would have been really hard for me with how mobile I was in the Marine Corps to have something like that carried around and have it not get beat up and destroyed.
Yeah.
Or even find guitar strings when you break a string or they go dull and won't stay in tune. But I was always really able to find a guitar, to come across one. I did a deployment before 9/11. I did a deployment to Guantanamo with First Fast Company, which is the Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Teams. They do Guantanamo and Rota, Spain, and these security missions. And my roommate just acquired a guitar, and it was awesome. A little funny story on that is, so I'd have a little downtime, like you were asking, with the guitar, and was one of the few guys that played guitar. And on the windward side of Guantanamo, when you've got we'd be on fence line duty out in the minefields and doing our patrols along the fence line and all that for about 10 days straight. Then you get about 2 days off. And they had this bar that people who served in Guantanamo know. I think it's called the Banana Rat Bar. And it's a little outdoor, very Jamaica vibe. And they had a stage, and they had a cover band that was hired by the Navy to do music on the weekends for the troops and the dependents. And under quite a few drinks, there was about 7 of us that commandeered all their equipment one night, and we did a semi-sober version of Knocking on Heaven's Door for about half an hour on their equipment. So it's cool to say that I got to play internationally,
Absolutely, man.
But that was really cool. All the Marines were cheering us on, and the families, and it was a really cool experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The one thing I heard you say, and I wish the Army would have deployed me to Rota, Spain. Yeah. That's the deployment I would like to go on. I always ask. The recruiters told me I was going to see the world. They just left the word third world out of it.
Yeah. All the hot spots.
Yeah.
I thought you meant warm beaches. Oh, there'll be plenty of sand.
Yeah, the water. Yep. I got excited because we were going to land in Shannon, Ireland, coming back from a deployment, and then it was followed with "You are not allowed to leave the airport," and I was like, "Huh, that sucks."
Yeah, we So when we were in Guantanamo, we were hoping that we'd get like a freedom bird to take us on. Hoorah there, Chris. We were hoping that we would get a freedom bird to take us over to Puerto Rico. And, it sounds like you Army guys got the same weekend reputation that us Marines do. And they weren't letting us go because they knew they'd send a platoon of 40 over there, and about 35 would come back and the other 5 would be in jail.
Yep. Yep.
But it was the same way coming back from Iraq. We went through Holland.
Okay.
And near Amsterdam, and they weren't letting us anywhere outside of the airport.
That's not happening.
Yeah. We just wanted to cut loose. We'd been in the combat zone for a year, and we just wanted to cut loose, but they weren't letting that happen.
Yeah. We always put it like, we just want to go have a couple drinks and relax. Yeah. So a funny story real quick before we get back on you. I landed in England. Our plane broke down and we were on our way to Afghanistan, and we stayed overnight and we went downtown. I was going to have a couple drinks, and by the end of the night, I was so drunk. They said I was walking down the alleys and everything, asking people if they seen bin Laden, that we were looking for him.
We are cut from the same cloth, my friend.
Man, that rest of that flight was horrible. And I don't remember very many times of landing because I was over there so many times. But I will never forget when the damn ramp on that C-17 dropped. It was like noon in July, and I was so hungover, man. That beat hit me. I was like, whoa, oh, God.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I always ask that one question because every time I was deployed, when I seen soldiers sitting there playing guitars and sitting out in front of their hooch or wherever, and it always started out with that one guy. And by the end of the deployment, there would be like 7 guys. And I never realized it until I got out. But man, that is like, if you could take a picture of that, that would be the definition of camaraderie in my opinion, because everybody is sitting there telling stories, and in all the chaos that's going on around you, there's that moment of calmness. I don't know how else to explain it, but it is.
Well, I think it's really, the guitar is such a beautiful instrument that, I think something that amazing that, it's science and math, how the scales work, but it's art, the way that natural things, wood and metals put together to make something melodic. Yeah. I mean, I believe it can only come from above, something greater than us must have created it. But my point is that it's always brought me peace wherever I've been. There are those songs that remind me of being in Guantanamo, those songs that remind me of that Case Logic CD collection I got off the Navy guy when we got back to Kuwait out of Iraq, and those songs I listened to. But one interesting story, if I can share, is that when we pulled out of Iraq after Saddam's regime failed and the combat phase that we were in,
Mhm.
OIF-1 had ended, and they pulled us back to Kuwait, and we were just really floundering in 120-degree heat in the desert, waiting on a plane ride to go home.
Yeah.
And I was honestly dealing with some things, with some mood and some depression, and I think it hit a lot of guys, and I was having one evening where I was just sitting out by myself. I found some space just to be away from the crowd outside of these big, hot, huge troop tents.
Mhm.
And I'm just feeling, it's probably 90-degree air, but it felt like a cool breeze. And the sun's going down. And I'm just looking off into the distance, and, hoping for some hope in my heart. And music has always healed me and been my centering. So I see someone walking from way out in the distance, out in the desert.
Mhm.
So, hey, we've always got our M16 on us. So I'm kind of getting ready. Like, I don't know who's coming up way out of the desert. And as the person gets closer, I can tell it's a Marine and they've got a guitar. And I can kind of hear some music strumming on the wind. So I kind of, I relax a little bit. It's one of our guys. He probably wandered off. Typical jarhead wandering off, coming back,
Looking
probably
for
here. And I'm all alone out in front of this big troop tent. And this Marine walks right up to me, rifle slung across his back, and he's strumming on With or Without You from U2, playing the chorus over and over again. With or without you, with or without you, oh. I can't live with. And he walks right up to me and he says, "Hey, bro, do you play?" And it was almost hard for me to play at that moment because guitar had always been a happy thing, like I wasn't really in that mental state to touch something so beautiful. But I picked it up and I strummed. He showed me the song and we kind of jammed out there in the desert, out in front. And I said thanks after a couple minutes, and it kind of healed me for that moment.
right.
I feel that God was like reaching down saying, "Scotti, it's going to be okay. Like you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right." So I handed the guitar back to him, rifle slung across his back. He starts strumming the song and just walks off again. And I never saw him again.
Wow. Yeah,
And
I definitely believe that, for lack of terms, I'll call it the higher power, but God does put us in the places, and that aha moment of I've just discovered why I'm supposed to be here. It comes to you when it's time, and and all those things, maybe your purpose is what you're doing now, but had that one guy not came in front of you, that depression could have been put down worse and worse and
right.
worse. And where you're at now would have never happened. And God putting that guy here, he's like, no, this is a deciding moment. I got to get him back on path,
That was a big part of the trajectory of my life and of my service. That was like the healing of music. A guitar walks right out of the desert.
Yeah.
In the middle of a combat zone, right up to me. It was a really cool experience. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. I agree. Well, why don't so I got 3 songs that I want to play. And the first one I believe is called Half the Way Home.
right.
And so we're gonna go and play this and let everybody hear what we've been talking about, and then they're gonna see why I also listen to you so much. So here we go.
Thank you.
I messed that up. I'm sorry. I just realized the wrong one got queued in.
No worries. I saw it in the right pane there on the side.
Yeah, I noticed it because I was like, something's not right.
The one with the black background and the wings on there. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Share screen. There we go.
Standing on this runway, still in dirty boots. You in that dress, as I'm holding on to you. I feel San Diego sun and ocean breeze, but I can't erase the things that I've seen. So will you wait for me? Because I'm half the way home. I'm only half the way home. I try to run, but that war won't let go. I'm only half the way home. So welcome home from the fire. But it feels like my heart's wrapped in barbed wire. And as you're holding on to me, I just can't erase the things that I've seen. So will you wait for me? Because I'm half the way home. I'm only half the way home. I try to run, but that war won't let go. I'm only half the way home. As I stare into your eyes, I still see the deserts of Iraq. And if only in my mind, I'll get home as fast as I can. But for now I'm half the way home. I'm only half the way home. I try to run, but that war won't let go. I'm only half the way home. I try to run, but that war won't let go. I'm only half the way home.
All right, man. So let's get into this song. Where were you when you came up with this?
So some of my songs take months, moments at a time, um, hours at a time. This one came kind of quick. This
Okay.
one was very organic and very natural. It just kind of popped in my head. So, it's a true story. It's my story, but I think it's a lot of our story. And when I came home to San Diego, Camp Pendleton specifically, and I saw my wife, who was my girlfriend at that point, and it's almost hard not to get emotional. Vividly remembering seeing her, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. The families had been waiting and waiting and waiting, and now they know what it's like when a Marine is told to go turn in your equipment at the armory, and that takes hours as well.
Yep.
And I saw her, and I was in formation, and I'm marching towards the building, the gym building where the families are going to welcome us. And she just found me out of the bunch. We all look the same. We're all filthy, dirt and blood on our boots and the filth of the Middle East and still on us. And, hadn't really had many showers in half a year. And she just walks up and says, hi. And I just didn't know what to say. And so the song's really about just realizing that I left a part of myself in the Middle East. And I think a lot of us, and yourself included, we, leave a part of ourselves over there. We leave it all we put it all on the line. And, for me, I'm still trying to get home. Like I said, one song at a time.
Yeah.
So that song's really for anyone who lost a part of their soul and is trying to find their way home.
Yeah. I mean, and that's exactly how I took it too, is because I don't know, maybe in some philosophical way, that's kind of the one reason why so many veterans, when they're asked if they would go back, they say in a heartbeat. And,
Right.
and we always say because life is simple over there, but maybe it's because we have left a part of us over there.
Right.
And so, I mean, that would make sense. And
Yeah.
but it is so true that, you may forget things that happened last week, what you did, who you talked to or whatever, but the stories and the images over there, man, are burned in for life.
Yeah. I may forget some names and places, but, I see the faces every night in my dreams.
Yeah.
And I vividly can remember, and replay in my dreams specific alleyways in Baghdad and, what Nasiriyah smelled like and being in the mud and that kind of thing. But, like I said, I'm really just the microphone. These are all our stories.
Right.
But, a lot of these songs for me, they honestly, to be really transparent and vulnerable and honest, most of my music comes after a nightmare at 3 o'clock in the morning. In my home studio where I'm in right now, I go in the front of the house into this home studio, at the moonlight coming through the blinds. And I try and digest my feelings and where I've been and what I replay in my head, that tape, that VCR tape that keeps replaying. And it's very cathartic and healing. And I just put it into these songs. And, I hope that other people can feel the same. I hope that other people can say, hey, that's my story too. I feel it.
And I agree. And I think I didn't even realize how much that was happening until, because I was not a very big music person growing up. I listened, but I didn't really listen. And after starting this radio station, man, the music now resonates to me because I can relate to it,
Right.
And I think a lot of other veterans that find the radio station, they find that same thing. I've heard several people say it, that it's like some of these songs was wrote about them. And
Right.
I think it's an awesome thing what you're doing because you are reaching out to people, and the paths that we all got put on, led us to sitting here at this moment, talking about this type of stuff.
Right.
So I think the music you have, like I said, brother, you are definitely reaching people. And I know this next song that we're going to play reaches out to me. For everybody who doesn't know, this next song is without a doubt my favorite. And if you can't have a good time with this song, man, we got to get you some counseling, because this is a good time song, man. So let's go and play one more, and then we're going to get into, because I believe the third one is your newer song, right?
Half the Way Home that you just played is the newest song.
Oh, okay.
That'll be one of the lead songs off of my second album. My second album will come out in early 2024. We're finishing it in the studio, and Half the Way Home is one of the lead songs off of that new album.
Okay. So I had it backwards. And well, before we get into this next song, then let's get into the new album. What is your plans? You said it's going to fully release in June, or are you going to release slowly up to June, or up to January?
I'm going to slowly release singles, and I'll probably release a single about every 2 or 3 weeks is the goal. Probably about every 3 weeks till we get to the end of the year. And then we're hoping for a January full 10-song album release.
Oh, okay. Awesome, man.
The name of the name of the album will be Never Surrender. And it's really an anti-PTSD statement. It's a statement to stand against, when the darkness comes. I like to say, when the darkness comes, call on me and we'll fight the demons together, and it's really a call to that. And it's 10 songs that are inspired by times in service. So, I hope it's some more good rock and roll, some good American country rock and roll, get people dancing, but get them feeling as well. So.
Absolutely, man. And, listening to this song, I was thinking, and I didn't say it, but I was thinking of our conversation before the show. You can hear the rock and roll in this song, even though it was a slower song, man. I think it's just your voice and how you're into it. I really do, because I love it, man. I do. and you will definitely be on multiple genres at the Golden Radio. That is
hoping we can cross over a little bit and reach more people.
Absolutely, man. So we'll go ahead and play Red, White, and Blue coming up next. Let me see if I can get this one right. There we go.
Video ready.
Seen her out in LA playing with the band, in Carolina dancing on the sand. She's a star that's slipping through my hands, like the ones that fell on Alabama. She's red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. She's my kind of girl, 'cause she's red, white, and blue. She'll get you high as the Colorado skies. And she shines like those New York City lights. As tough as Texas, and brother, she just might knock you to the ground if you start a fight. She's red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. She's my kind of girl, 'cause she's red, white, and blue. She'll wait there in the harbor, holding up her light. She'll bring a fallen soldier home underneath her stripes. She's red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. She's my kind of girl, 'cause she's red, white, and blue. She's red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. She's my kind of girl, 'cause she's red, white, and blue. She's red, white, and blue.
All right, man. I love that song, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty special to me too.
Dude, if you can't get behind that, we just can't be friends. I don't know what to tell you.
Thank
Man,
you very much for the kind words.
if that song can be taken so many ways. I mean, it could be talking about the love of a girl, or it could be talking about the love of this country. And I just love it, man, because in so many ways, you know, family is kind of what helps make this country.
Right.
And man, you added all that together. I'm sorry, man. I love that song, dude.
Well, I was just sitting one night and I was thinking about, you know, the expand a song. I wanted to write a song specifically about this country. You know, so much of my content. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that, Joel. You know, I wanted to write a song about America, and so much of my content is pretty heavy content about service and hardship in service and things like that, transitioning home. And I wanted to write something that was a little bit more party, but I wanted the words to be specific, and I wanted to point out different areas of this country that are so different, that are so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I'm singing about this girl, you know, and you see it in the video. There's the girl with the flag.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to that bridge and she'll wait there in the harbor holding up her light, right? Lady Liberty, right?
Yep.
She'll bring a fallen soldier home underneath her stripes. So right there at the end of the song, I'm giving it away that I'm talking about the flag.
Yeah.
So thank you for catching that. It's that kind of double message that it's about this country, but it's also about love of flag. And
it's the whole love of this country, and that's what I love about when I say you guys, the veteran artist community in general, because you guys capture so many, from military traditions to service to just the crazy way we think and party, and it all gets wrapped up. I tell Joe Allen Christie all the time, I'm not a huge country guy, but his song "Keep the Flag" runs chills down my back, man. It is. I have never heard anybody capture a military funeral the way he did in that song. And just like with your music and this, tying in the love, what you think is going to be family, into this country, because it does all tie together. I
like to say at my shows, so before I do that song, that's usually my closing song. So and I like to say that, I've been around this world a bit, and some places good and some not so good. And I let people make their own decisions, their own judgments.
Right.
My job is not to tell you whether to go left, right, up or down or whatever. It's to tell you my story from firsthand experience, and you draw your own conclusions.
Right.
Just the storyteller, just the microphone. But I like to say, it's like, look, I've been around this world, and when you compare some places that I've been to in service, that I think that from my experience, even on our worst day here, we're still doing pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to be an American. I'm very proud to have served this country in uniform. And, I say that's what this song is about. It's just, our brothers and sisters bled and died for that flag. Our brothers and sisters are buried underneath that flag, buried under that flag. And it's the centerpiece of my home studio, and it's tattooed on my arm, and it's tattooed on my soul.
Yep.
So I'm glad that song resonated with you, because it's a really special one for me.
Yeah. I have stood at the flight line as we loaded up planes of our fallen brothers,
Right.
And I've been on the other side of that. And I think that's why Joe Allen's Christie songs resonate so much, because I've done several military funerals for friends of mine, that just 2 weeks before that I was talking to. And so those kinds of songs, they strike me deep, man. And I think everybody, like you said, they can pull from it what resonates to them, and that's where the healing begins.
Right.
Because it gets you thinking,
right.
And you're seeing other points and other aspects of it, and then it's coming from a person that you see that is just like you. The song was wrote to help others and to help himself as well. I tell everybody that podcasting is a selfish act. I started this for myself. Me and my old verse aren't. We just wanted to. We thought we wanted to help others, but reality, I helped myself more than I think I helped anybody else. Because
very cathartic. Yeah, it's your medium. Yeah.
Yep. I now talk about a lot more stuff than I ever did in the past.
Right.
And it's just the way of getting things out. So I do love, man. Like I could tell everybody, man, I'm just honored to be a part of this radio station and your guys' journeys, because it is just amazing. And the talent that the veteran community has, it needs to be shared, because you guys are out there, man. You should be on like every single radio station in the United States, and it's just the world we live in with algorithms and the greed of money and everything else. But
well, it's tough for some of us in the veteran community that are musicians, like for me, without giving specifics, there's a lot of subject matter that's really popular on corporate radio that look, I love a lot of those songs, but my original music that I write that comes from my heart are these songs.
Yeah.
And I may not make, be fit for mass consumption, but I will tell you that where I know my mission is being accomplished is at the end of every one of my live shows. And I do a lot of live shows, 30 to 40 a year. We're, between, acoustic and electric events, we're out there playing. And at the end of every show, there's at least one veteran that'll come up to me, sometimes with tears in their eyes, and saying, "Hey, Scotti, thank you. That was my song. That was my story from Afghanistan, Scotti, that you just sang."
Yeah.
And it kind of warmed my heart. Like no one had ever told my story before from a stage. So for me, it's really about, not so much about showing off on stage, but bringing this camaraderie together and bringing people together, because we all go up together, and the more that I can bring with me, then I'm not alone when I get to that mountaintop. But it's really just my music is a mission. It's just about bringing camaraderie, bringing people together, bringing hope,
Yeah. And I think that's, it's no secret, when we transition out of the military, our whole identity is stripped from us. And we don't realize that, because we all say the same thing. I said it too, I can't wait till the last time I go out that damn gate.
Right. Give me my DD-214. I'm EAS-ing. Yeah.
Yep. And but you don't realize it at that time. But when you get out and you're like, you get a minute to digest it all, you're like, oh, now what?
Right.
And then you start the job process and you find out you're no longer in charge. You're at the very bottom. Right. And there is no additional support if money's tight this month and you run into hard times, and your coworkers don't give a shit. Can you just do your job? Stop telling me about your problems,
Right.
And we realized real quick that what the most important part of what we're missing is that camaraderie. Right. And there's camaraderie in the posts when you're at the garrison level, but nothing like when you're deployed. Even like when you're doing a solo tour to like Korea or something, I think Guantanamo is a hardship for you guys. You can't take your spouses and stuff with you there. So, you have nothing else to rely on but each other. And that's what bonds us right there, those moments. And I think bringing back the camaraderie is the start to fixing a lot of these problems in the veteran community. It won't fix everything, but it's a good foundation.
Well, I like to think that my music could bring, hope through the healing powers of music, to empower, our veteran and our first responder community, and just what you said. Just that's my whole goal, is just to bring people together.
Yeah, man. I think it's important that people take that moment and listen to your guys' music, because I say it and people think I'm joking, but just like you said, mainstream media, those are not their songs. Maybe they help write it, but and maybe there's even events in their life that they can resonate from it, but it's not, it was designed to sell.
Yeah.
It's not designed to tell their story. And that's the difference in what we're dealing with is what people are hearing is true stories.
Right. Very autobiographical. Yeah.
I think in a way, I know you're kind of with the, both genres, but in a way that's where country music resonated from. Back in the cowboy days where everybody was sitting around the fire singing, those were about real songs, real stories.
And that's something that really, I've been listening to people like Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash since I was a little kid. I would have a, I'm the guy with the Kiss tattoo on the arm and the Johnny Cash t-shirt, Yep. And I love all those stories. I'm a storyteller in my songs. And when I do my acoustic shows, I tell the story behind the song as we do each song.
That's awesome.
You know, like I said at the beginning of our time together, you know, these are not just my stories. It's in my voice, but it's all our story. So, you know, but that's
Absolutely.
something that I've always enjoyed about a good country song is those stories.
Yep, absolutely, man. Well, we'll get into the third song, man. And the third one I have is You Were There. And this is off your first
First
album.
album.
Yep. All right, so we're going to listen to You Are There. There it is.
You asked me what I went through on that road through hell that brought me back to you. I told you war can change a man. It broke your heart, but you tried to understand. You wish you were there for me, but baby, can't you see that you were there? In that picture in my pocket, I carried everywhere. Yeah, you were there. On those burning battlefields and in my prayers. Yeah, you were there. When the desert moon began to rise, if I could find a quiet moment in the fight, I'd read your letters, every one of them. And they gave me hope I'd kiss your lips again. You wish you were there for me, but baby, can't you see that you were there? In that picture in my pocket, I carried everywhere. Yeah, you were there. On those burning battlefields and in my prayers. Yeah, you were there. And I know you fight battles of your own. And there are days that you struggle to stay strong. But I'm here for you, 'cause you were there. And in the night you're close to me. You pull me back when my dreams take me to dark places over there. And I thank God that you were there. Yeah, you were there. You were there.
All right, man. So we kind of got a different version. That song's a little bit slower and everything.
Right.
Where did this song originate from? Because I'm going to tell you that this was really the first time I sat down and really listen, and I had this image in my head when in this one part, but I'm gonna wait until you're done, and I'm gonna tell you what I visioned.
Okay. So this is the song that kind of really springboarded this solo music career. I'm an alumni with Wounded Warrior Project, and I was at a songwriting, healing through songwriting program that they had a few years back, and they had a guy come in from Nashville that had worked with some notable big radio names, and kind of helped some of us guys kind of put our thoughts in and into songs. So I told him my story, and we wrote this song together. And it's one of the few things I've done co-writing with somebody else. But I had the guy in tears. And the song is about a photo I had of my wife, who was my girlfriend at that time. Self-explanatory, right? And I kept her photo in my flak jacket. And I think a lot of us did that. And we went through some very, very intense bullet flying, life danger combat, right? We were in the push, and that's the time that we were there. I think that place, Iraq and Afghanistan, was always dangerous, and probably still.
Absolutely.
But it was definitely dangerous when I was there. And it's an absolute miracle that I'm still alive, that I'm sitting with you. And but when times would maybe get quiet, maybe as it would get quiet in the night, and things would get still, and you could feel that warm, stale Iraqi air start to move through the farmland, through the buildings, through the farmhouses, and the artillery would be going off in the distance, lighting up the night like lightning. And I would take out that photo at the last bit of light, at my last cigarette, and I'd look at this photo of my girl, and it would give me hope that I've got to stay strong another day, another night patrol, another footstep, another day. We've got to keep going. I got to get home to her. I got to marry this girl,
Yeah.
And it was that photo of her that really gave me a lot of strength and a lot of hope. So I put that into a song, and the song even comes full circle to those dreams after I'm home. And it's a true story that when I have these dreams and I start making noise and screaming in my sleep, she'll wake me up. You're home, you're home, you're home. And that's what that song's about. I can barely get through that song to play it live without pushing tears. I will rarely play that song live if she's not in the crowd.
Yeah.
So it's pretty intense to me. So
yeah, absolutely, man. And that picture I had was thinking back, to that Vietnam era, when you look at some of the old video footage of the real video footage, not TV, in some of the documentaries, that you always seen the soldiers that had the pictures in their on their Kevlars. And
right,
that was the first image that popped up in my mind when I heard that, and I was just thinking to myself, wow, this song is going to resonate to more than just our era warriors. I guarantee you there's Vietnam veteran and probably even Korean War veterans. I don't know much about the Korean War, but those two wars, they're going to resonate to this song too.
Yeah, I when that song came out was about the time I played. There's an organization called I Got Your Six, and they do shows to bring camaraderie, and it's a fundraiser. And I played their festival in Texas last year, and there was an old Air Force Vietnam vet. He was one of those Air Force guys that did a lot of the forward operating stuff, and it was really cool to meet him. And he came to the show and he said, "Hey, I heard this song, and it reminded me of when I was in Vietnam, and I wanted to meet you in person. So just what you said, maybe it is crossing generations, and maybe it is reaching people.
Absolutely, man. And you know, look, I love all veterans. You know, I don't care what war you
Absolutely.
went to war, but you know, I tell everybody, we may have a mental health pandemic in America with this generational war that we're in, right? But I'm going to tell you what the biggest difference is. We are lucky because when we came back, we had a country that loved us and was proud of us.
Right.
You know, not every soldier got that. You go back to the Vietnam era and they had nobody to talk to because everybody was either spitting on them, calling them baby killers, you know, protesting them. They had nobody to talk to. And PTSD was not as well pushed and known as it is today. So, you know, I do consider myself lucky in that aspect. But there are soldiers that went generations without help. And it's a shame.
Yeah, you know, my wife grew up as a young teenager with her dad, who was a Vietnam vet, Marine Corps infantry Vietnam vet, and you know, he has the emotional wounds of war very heavily even to this day. And she grew up protesting with signs in front of the VA in San Francisco Bay Area for you know, protesting for his and his buddies' benefits, for help, you know, just really for help. You know, and so she grew up with the signs protesting for veterans, even back in those days, back, you know, 80s and 90s.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, and good for her because those warriors, you know, they got shit on, you know. And I heard another podcast, and I don't want to take the story super deep, but I heard another podcast that had a World War II veteran on it. And the one thing he said that I just couldn't get it out of my mind. I believe it was on Joe Rogan. No, you know what? It was on the Sean Ryan show.
Mm-hmm.
He asked him about PTSD. And I don't 100% agree with what he says, but the ending makes a lot of sense. He said, we don't have PTSD. He said, that's a your generation problem, not a my generation problem. He said, you came home and you had some bad dreams, but they went away. And Sean asked him, he said, well, what do you think the difference is? He said, because we fought a war that was worth fighting. You guys fought a war that the government lied to you and put you in. Afterwards, you felt betrayed because it wasn't what you thought. And it kind of made me think, you know, because in a way, I kind of felt that way. You know, I felt that we were over there to do good and to help the people. And then when I got back and I seen it from a different perspective, I wasn't so sure, you know, that was the real reason why we lost all of our brothers and sisters. And so it does make sense that this generation has questions, especially when you look at the way we pulled out, the Afghanistan pullout. You know, the one thing I always said through this whole time was at least my grandkids or my kids won't be back in this shithole having to deal with this.
Yeah, and you know, I was, you know, thank you for you know, sharing your heart. You know, I was on the phone today with a Gold Star dad of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, who died at the Abbey Gate when we pulled out of Afghanistan, and you know, talking about the pullout. And he does a nationwide multi-city festival shows to raise money and awareness for the Freedom 13 that died at the Abbey Gate. And yeah, I was actually on the phone with him today, and I'll be played one of the events last year, and I'll be playing another one this year. So, you know,
awesome,
try and tackle some of those.
Yeah. You know, the Sean Ryan show, man, he brings on so many awesome guests. And he had a guy on there was at the gate. He's now missing, I may have it backwards, but he's missing left arm, right leg, or vice versa. And he had 150 ball bearings
Wow.
put in his body from that explosion. And
Wow.
I learned so much more from hearing his story than any news media outlet would ever tell you. You know, what happened did not have to happen. And that's the bottom line. There didn't have to be an explosion. It was preventable. And now there's 13 more Gold Star families because of it, you know?
Right.
So,
Very tough. Very tough. Any
Absolutely.
loss of life is tough. Yeah. Especially our brothers and sisters. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, let me ask you this, man. Where is your next tours or spots that you're going to be playing at? Where can people see you?
All right. So if you're in the Houston, Texas area, this Saturday, I will actually be doing an intimate up close event that's going to be really, really cool. I'll be telling stories and playing acoustic songs at Sweet Spot Records in Houston, Texas. So a record store and a concert, match made in heaven.
Absolutely.
So we're going to do that. That's Houston. And then October 21st, we'll be in San Antonio at Fitzgerald's.
Okay.
And that's going to be a good one. And then there is some talk about Nashville, November 18th, possibly Columbia, just south of Nashville.
Okay.
So those are kind of the big ticket items that are on the blotter at this point.
Okay.
And more music will be released. I'm going to release another song in about another week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay.
A little bit more of a oomphy, upbeat hard rocker going to come out next. And I'm hoping to everything in this studio that I'm in to have this album out for full consumption January 2024.
Awesome, man. And I know we just talked today about your first song that you released. It will be on the radio station tonight. I will
Awesome.
get it uploaded.
Thank you.
And as you release them, man, let me know.
Right.
About to come out.
Text you directly and let you know. Yeah, I'll absolutely broadcast it to you. Yeah.
Absolutely, brother. Well, man, it has been an honor to share the stage with you. And I absolutely loved this conversation, man.
Yeah, it's great. Hey, I want to say too, from my heart, like, not pulling any punches here, but I know that you doing the podcast and you doing the radio station has been cathartic and healing to you the same way that me and my veteran peers, when we do our music, it's healing to us. I think it's a beautiful thing and it's an awesome thing what you do. So I'm very proud that you and I have become friends and connected more recently because you're giving a platform to our voices.
Absolutely, brother.
And I can only get my mission and my message out to so many people, but you broadcast it out there over the airwaves and get it to a lot of people. So any help I can get, you're part of the team, and I'm just honored to be part of this with you.
Brother, like I said, I feel like the veterans, have a story to tell, and it's important that people hear it, and in a way, we don't know what the future holds. So I also look at it this way. We are getting people from a life, hands-on, boots on ground experience telling their stories that will be documented. We all know once it hits the internet, it never goes away. And I think that's important because we don't know what the history is going to teach 50 years from now. And
right.
Version of the war is going to be told. And I think it's important that we get our time while we're able to share those stories. And
these are great versions of these stories to put them out through song, something that, that everybody can connect with.
Absolutely, brother. I agree, man. Well, if you don't mind holding on real quick, we'll go and throw the exit out. And I appreciate everybody for listening in, man. We can't do it without y'all listeners. Joel, Granny, Joel Hunt, Brian, Facebook user that didn't sign in. Appreciate you too. And JC, Barbara, I appreciate all of y'all, man. Y'all take care.
Semper Fi.
We'll see y'all next Wednesday.